Welcome back. A judicial interpreter was stabbed by a man inside the Longueuil courthouse last Tuesday at noon. A situation that brings back to the table the issue of security in these institutions where many criminal individuals transit. Some say there is a huge lack of security in courthouses and that things need to change. Eric Sutton now joins us. He is a criminal defense attorney, a regular on the show. Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So, Eric, you've practiced at the Longueuil courthouse, right? You've represented clients over there,
I certainly have, yes.
and did you, as a regular criminal defense attorney over there, did you feel safe? Have there been incidents in the past? Anything to suggest that there are serious issues over there?
Well, personally, I've never really worried for my security at a courthouse. Longueuil, much like all the other courthouses in Quebec, save for Montreal, does not have security screening when you enter the courthouse. In other words, although there are what we call special constables virtually everywhere on all the floors and one inside every courtroom who are actually armed peace officers, and there are cameras, but there's no security detail whatsoever, unlike Montreal, which might strike people as unusual because when you talk about Longueuil, Laval, these are major judicial centers which are in some respects just as busy as Montreal, maybe somewhat less, but still significantly busy, yet they don't benefit from the same type of security screening.
So let's drill down on that, Eric. Compare Montreal, the security apparatus, to Longueuil. Tell me what happens when either an individual, an attorney, has to go into the Montreal courthouse.
Well, the attorneys actually get a pass if they identify themselves with their driver's license and their membership card in the bar. They're not searched; they're just let in. But the general public goes through security screening, much like you'd see at the airport. Their personal effects are searched by hand. They go through a metal detector arch. So it's very much like the airport experience, which is to some degree unfortunate because a courthouse is a public place. And when I say a public place, it's a place where the public should feel welcome to attend because the public, it's essential to our democratic system that the public understands and sees how justice is done.
Absolutely.
And the more severe the security measures you put in place, the less inclined members of the public are going to be to attend. I mean, it's not a pleasant experience to be searched. We all despise it at the airport. And can you imagine it's much the same at the courthouse in Montreal?
Sure. But again, as you stated, and I think we can't put enough emphasis on this, one of the pillars of our system is that justice has to be transparent, it has to be open, it has to be accessible. So anybody should be able to have access. So if we're at that point in Montreal, why do you think we haven't done this in Longueuil? I mean, as you said, Longueuil is a major courthouse. There's a lot of traffic there, a lot of business being done there. So why do you think we haven't stepped up security as we have in Montreal?
There's really no logical explanation. It's not like this is a frontier courthouse. This is a busy metropolitan courthouse, as I mentioned, as is Laval. You're getting the same type of traffic, the same type of people. There's a lot of emotions are high in courthouses, in family cases, criminal cases, especially. They're dangerous people that come in and out. It's hard to explain. On the other hand, a courthouse is not a place where you would expect a violent crime to occur because it is full of special constables who have firearms. It's full of police officers who are attending as witnesses, but who are also in uniform. It's probably the last place you'll expect to get away with any kind of crime. So in a way, that will dissuade. In fact, in my experience, there's been very little criminal activity outside of a courtroom in a courthouse. And I think to some degree, it's unfortunate to react to a tragic but exceptional incident to install sort of wall-to-wall security measures that really make the whole experience very, very distasteful for any member of the public who simply wants to attend to observe how justice is meted out in a courtroom.
Yeah, and also, I mean, when people go to the courthouse, usually they are either witnesses or they have a case. It's not necessarily criminal; it could be civil, but the stress level is already high. It's very rare you're going to see individuals who aren't lawyers or used to the justice system come in and feel relaxed to start with. So if you're turning courthouses into fortresses, like in the U.S., for example, you're elevating the stress level. You must have seen that with your either clients or witnesses or people in that you're bringing in to do your work as well, right?
Yes, I mean, I have cases where my case is being called. It's 9:30 in the morning, and I'm texting my client, "Where are you?" And my client says, "I'm in the security line." I mean, they have, it's much like the airport. You have this huge lineup of people trying to get in because they've been subpoenaed as witnesses or they're accused, and they're stressed, and then they have to go through this whole process. Obviously, it's going to make tensions even higher, but I mean, it is still hard to explain why Montreal has it and Longueuil doesn't.
So let's go back to what happened last week in the Longueuil courthouse. So a stabbing, pretty much out of nowhere, and it wasn't like this was a person who had any direct reason to be there. Have we learned anything since last week?
Not
on
really.
The incident?
This seems to have been a completely unprovoked, random act of violence, which can occur anywhere. It just happened to have occurred in a courtroom, in a courthouse. But this individual could have done this in a metro station,
right,
in a department store, at a grocery store. But we don't have at this point any reason to believe there was the slightest connection between this poor victim and the suspect.
Now, I'm going to ask you to speculate, and I know lawyers hate that, being a recovering attorney myself. Do you think if we had the same type of security in Longueuil that we have in Montreal, could that individual been stopped? I mean, could he have wandered into the halls with a knife?
Likely not. I mean, the part of the security process is uncovering weapons, which include knives and firearms, and I think in all likelihood the knife would have been seized, and he might have been told to leave, because a knife in and of itself isn't always a criminal. It's not always a criminal matter being in possession of a knife. It depends what type of knife it is, and if they can't show any malintent, then they would probably have just seized and told the person to leave.
So, do you agree with the calls for extra security in Longueuil and other courthouses where they don't have the same type of security in Montreal?
Well, I'm not a big fan of security measures. I would say that we should just wait and let the tension related to this incident just subside a bit, so that we can make a rational, thoughtful decision. Obviously, the government is probably concerned about the cost, because it's expensive. You have to have equipment and personnel. It's just another layer of expense. And if it's done in Longueuil, it's probably going to be done virtually everywhere. They're going to look at that, but that shouldn't be the deciding factor. I think we should look at statistically how often there are incidents of violence in a courthouse, and I don't really think. I mean, I've been practicing a long time, and I hear about these incidents, but they're few and far between.
Really? So that was my next question, Eric. And I know it's not like hard data, but you being a practicing criminal attorney, you're in courthouses a lot. Do you get the sense that these have become more violent places in the past few years?
I would be lying to you if I was to answer in the affirmative. I'd say no. These events happen, but this was a very unusual one. But I mean, there was an incident about 20 years ago in Montreal where someone drove his car through the main doors of the courthouse. No one was injured, but yeah.
All right, Eric. Thank you so much for your point of view. Always appreciate your insights.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. Eric Sutton, a criminal defense attorney here in Montreal.